Exactly right. I mean, this news about Apple is not entirely surprising given our reporting on all of the supply chain disruptions, but it really reinforces.
A week later, on March 21st, cases in the US have gone up by over 800%. And
the magnitude of the virus's impact on the supply and demand side for multinationals all across China.
In the US that day, according to the World Health Organization. That same day, Apple decides to close its stores across the country.
There are still many industries still undergoing the recovery period from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, but it seems that major tech companies are leading the pack in terms of bouncing back and staying afloat during these tough times. Today we're going to be talking about one such big tech company. In fact, it's one of the biggest consumer tech companies in the world today. You've guessed it, we're going to be talking about Apple and how its stocks are faring in such a tumultuous business environment. In spite of the global pandemic, it seems that Apple had a pretty good year. In fact, compared to other smartphone companies and manufacturers, Apple has been far less negatively impacted by lockdowns and community quarantine periods implemented across the globe. Just in September, it was reported that Apple's share jumped way up high after it released its second quarter earnings. The company rose to a market cap of over a whopping $2 trillion. However, a lot of investors are still thinking of whether or not Apple stock should be bought. How has Apple stock been faring recently? How is Apple doing for its fourth quarter? And how does its performance compare to that of its key competitors? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be diving into in today's video, so sit back and relax as we take a look at how Apple stocks are doing. This is Business Explained. Subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell, and may you be granted with many sweet returns. Before we dive into Apple stock, let's have a quick refresher on how the company came to be. Apple was founded back in 1976 on the 1st of April by college dropouts Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. They wanted to create user-friendly computers and alter the way society viewed these machines. They began their tech venture in Jobs' garage. Come 1980, Apple was able to go public and their sales had jumped to a whopping $117 million. Wozniak soon left Apple, so Jobs hired John Sculley to be Apple's new president. However, this change in leadership led to quite a bit of controversy, and Jobs left Apple in 1985. He went on to other tech ventures, purchasing the animation company Pixar and founding his own software company called Next Software. However, Apple's market share began to dwindle over the next few years, so they bought out Next Software and asked Jobs to step back into the picture. He then made some changes to how Apple was being run, and brought in a range of new products that the company could produce. Steve Jobs became Apple's CEO in 2000. From that point on, Apple became one of the world's leading developers and manufacturers of consumer tech, bringing us a beloved iPhone, iPad, Mac, MacBook, and iPod. Like many other industries, the global smartphone industry was hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic, which led to a series of lockdowns and strict quarantine and social distancing protocols across the globe. In an effort to curb the effects of the virus, national and local government units imposed stay-at-home initiatives and business shutdowns during the first few months of the pandemic. This made it difficult for smartphone companies and manufacturers to produce their goods, and the effects are foreseen to last until next year. However, Apple was seen to perform better than other vendors, partially due to the great success of their Apple iPhone SE line. Surprisingly, back in August, Apple, along with tech giants Amazon and Facebook, saw that its share price even soared amid antitrust hearings. In spite of being looked into for alleged anti-competitive behaviors, the tech giant's market cap rose by 4% from $4.79 trillion to $5 trillion. These soothed investors' fears that the antitrust concerns would cause stocks to dip. Jonathan Vanian, in his article for Fortune on the big tech company stocks performance, had this to say on Apple's performance. Apple's sales grew 11% year over year to $59.7 billion, which was particularly noteworthy considering analysts believe that the iPhone maker's sales would decline 2% year over year to $52.6 billion. As a result, Apple's shares were up to 10.5% by the market's close on Friday to 425.04, marking a 12.2 jump from end-of-day trading on Tuesday when Apple shares were 373.01. On Friday, Apple topped Saudi Aramco as the world's most valuable company. Apple had also just released a new range of products during its Time Flies event in mid-September, and recently announced 4 new iPhone 12 models, all of which are 5G compatible. In an article by Karis Lahif for CNBC, experts weighed in on the performance of Apple stock. This is what Jim Suva, senior tech analyst at Citi, had to say. If we look at the year to date, the stock has done extremely well. In fact, it has outperformed the Nasdaq, the S&P 500, the border markets. It has rallied. Simply put, Apple during this pandemic is generating a tremendous amount of cash flow. They're inventing, they're coming out with new products, and they're hiring. A lot of industries are laying off people and doing furloughs and reductions of hours of work. We're actually seeing that Apple is hiring. That means they're coming out of the pandemic stronger, and importantly, the products they're showing that Apple announced are going to be ready and on the shelves and available in large quantities for the holiday shopping season, and that's very important. On a particular strong trading day in late October, Apple outperformed several of its competitors. Its shares went up by 0.01% to $115.05 during what was considered to be a grim trading session for the stock market. The Nasdaq Composite Index had gone down by 1.64%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average had gone down by 2.29%. The company closed $22.93 below its high of $137.98, which it was able to achieve back in early September. AAPL, or Apple stock, was able to outperform other big tech companies like Microsoft or MSFT, which fell by 2.85% to $210.08. Alphabet Inc., or Google, which fell by 2.98% to $1,584.29, and International Business Machines Corporated, or IBM, which fell by 3.26% to $112.22. Currently, analysts and investors have labeled Apple stock as a buy. What are your thoughts on Apple stocks? Do you think Apple will continue to pull ahead of other smartphone companies? How do you think its stocks will perform over the next few months? How do you think its competitor stock will perform over the next few months? Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment them down below in the comment section. I'll be responding to all of you who comment during the first hour of me posting this video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out my other video called Tesla. Is Tesla stock overvalued? We've been in the global pandemic for months now, and many industries are only just beginning to recover from its impact during the earlier months of the community quarantines and lockdowns. However, some industries have had an easier time bouncing back than others. The tech industry is one such industry, and one tech company in particular has been making waves in the tech scene since the start of the year. That's right, I'm talking about Tesla, the up-and-coming tech giant that was able to report that they made a profit during the second quarter of 2020 in spite of the coronavirus pandemic. This surprised investors and analysts across the globe. However, Tesla stock is also known to be very volatile. Just in August, shares prices skyrocketed from a low $360 to $1,340. That's a 300% price jump. However, there are analysts and investors questioning whether or not Tesla stocks are actually a buy, claiming that Tesla stocks seem to be overvalued. Is that really the case? What is happening to Tesla stock right now? What does it have in store for its future? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in that video. So check it out and assess for yourself whether Tesla stock really is overvalued or not. Stay tuned, stay educated.